Hello everybody out there in the world, this is Gosha from Cosmic Agency. I haven't been with you for a while in this type of a video. How are you doing? And this is because there's always so much to do and there's always so many videos for me to make. So I leave these kinds of videos for when I have these little topics accumulated enough. And this is the case today. So I have accumulated some little topics from the chats. Okay, this is not going to be anything related to the current world situation, really. This is just some little fun facts from different types of conversations that we had with them, because I just like to share what I have and whatever I can share. Some of you sometimes get frustrated when I say this, like share what I can. Well, because that's the way it is. It's not that I'm censoring it. It's just sometimes that the information itself is not really it's not really probably convenient to be released, to be shared, or it's something personal that is theirs, that is bluntly put, no one's business. So that's what I mean when I say some of it is not shared, and some of it is relating to my personal life as well as Robert's. So it's definitely something ours, because as you remember, this is not just the contact to give the information, but we are also friends, and we share a lot of personal details among ourselves. So I will go through 9 different little topics. I think it's around 9. First, I will explain a little bit about some type of misunderstandings that occur due to the language differences. Then I will have a little detail about the sun portal, the portal in the sun. Then I will mention briefly about the mummies in Egypt. Then some little note about channeling, and then also about transcending the physical. Like sometimes people are just tired of being here in 3D and they want to transcend it. Then, since it's winter, I will share with you a little detail about what is winter like in Erra. And then I will share with you part of the conversation with Dor Kalel that we had some time ago, and it was about the interior of their ships. I will share some images that he shared, not theirs, they are internet photos, but very similar. On basis of these photos, he was describing it. Then I will describe a part of the conversation with Yazhi when right after she was coming back from one of her missions. So that's going to be a fun conversation as well. And then at the end, I will share with you a very wise and elevated message that one of the Spanish followers left in our channel. It's very, very inspiring. I want to share that. So let's go back to the very beginning. So first of all, I want to clarify that sometimes when we speak and when they speak, especially, sometimes certain words could be misunderstood or spoken in a context where they normally don't belong, because just remember, they are not speaking their language. Their language structure is very different. It's quite plastic and fluid, and some words can have different meaning to them. The way they learn the words, they might have different meaning. Like for example here, Aneka is saying the word nuclear reactor actually caused some issues some time ago because they understood it in a different way. So they were referring to the nuclear reactor as an energy reactor where it comes from the core of the machine, nucleus. And that's what they were referring to. Wrong. It means ionizing radioactive decay hot water reactor. And she says here, and that is because the confusion was because we do not have nuclear reactors as you do. So we translate meanings to whatever is familiar to us. It's not lack of awareness of the existence of nuclear reactors. It's a lack of awareness of the meaning of the exact term or word. I want you to keep this in mind, because sometimes these misunderstandings might occur, and it's because of those issues, because of different meaning attached to the words. Like, for example, the word world. When we say world, we are usually referring to our planet. Like, this is the best song in the world, which means on Earth. But the way they are describing the world, anytime they speak of the world, they mean the universe. Different planets, space. For us, it's just this planet. And she says, yes, that's a classic. We use my world as in world encompassing everything we know and we live, not as in world equal to planet Earth. Stellar language, such as Taygetan, stellar languages, such as Taygetan, is holographic, plastic, non-linear, non-sequential, because of the telepathic load. For example, and this is very interesting, in English or in any language from Earth, if you scramble the words, you lose the meaning. In Taygetan, you can scramble the words all over the place, and it still holds its original meaning. So if I say, I live in Barcelona and I'm happy, I can say happy is live, I am, and it will have the same meaning to them. So that's very, very interesting. I have to say though that they speak perfect English, perfect Spanish. I don't see any, well, sometimes a little bit something here and there, but not much. The language skill is very, very, very good. Next topic is Sun Portal. As you know, we did this video, very interesting video on ancient symbols, and one of the topics there was those coded messages go to the sun, because that's where the portal is, to escape from the solar system. So I was wondering about that. I asked Yazhi about this just last night, because as I remember from the video about black holes and suns, the sun is the exit of the portal, and the black hole is the entrance. That's what stuck in my head. So I was asking Yazhi, but what do you mean go to the sun to get out of the solar system? I thought that the sun is the exit. Can it be the entry as well? And she says it is entry and exit. The thing is, that message was meant for people with enough technology to use the solar portal, but not as high as Taygetans that no longer need any portal. So the sun can be an exit and the entrance. Now here I'm asking, so it was the only way to get out of the solar system? And she says, for them, with less technology, it was the only way, because it was the closest portal that could take them far. So it was the only way out. As you know, or maybe you don't, but to know you need to watch the other videos. Taygetans do not use, well, they can use it, but they are not relying on that technology, portals technology. They can actually create a little mini portal on board of their ships, and also they use lunar space flight, ether jumps, basically. So here I am asking, and if they had enough technology as to move around in ships, if there was such a civilization who read that message and they had enough technology to move around in ships, wouldn't they know already about portals in the sun? She says yes, but also they were leaving the directions for people. The coded messages were left as directions for people who were developing that technology, not already possessing that technology. So for Taygetans, for example, that information is not only useless, it is obsolete. But not for someone who is exploring space for the first time in a rudimentary interstellar starship. Here I'm asking, why did they need to get out anyway? Were they escaping from reptiles? And she says, because all races, or nearly all, need to explore. Because humans are not from here. They want to go to their place of origin, so to speak. Because in their memory, they know they arrived here escaping persecution. And they would want to go out again sometime. I'm also curious about whether there were any civilizations later that read those messages and that went to some portals. She says, yes, the Maya did. There were so many civilizations. It is impossible to sort them out. The Hopi did as well. I'm asking, that's why they disappeared, Maya civilization? And she says, yes, they went back home. But they had lesser technology than Taygetans, who no longer even care about solar portals. I would so love to make the video about those missing civilizations that Yazhi keeps talking about, because she says there are so many other civilizations that our historians are aware of in between, and they have also left the influences all over the place. So I hope to be able to make that subject sometime in the future. Next subject. Now here, when we did the video on ancient Egypt and the pyramids, especially pyramids, someone asked me in the comment section about the mummies and what do we know about the mummies. So I asked Yazhi about this tradition, where is it from and why did they do that? And that's actually, she said, nothing to do with the pyramids itself. That's a separate story, or at least it's not directly linked to the pyramids. Egyptians had a very prominent culture. She's here explaining they have very prominent culture towards life after death, as we know, and they didn't understand the process, as they still thought that the physical form is important after you die and you have to somehow preserve that for your afterlife. So on the other, they didn't understand it. They somehow misconstrued the concept, because on the other side, she says, you still have physicality, a different type of physicality, and your former body no longer matters. So the concepts were given to them by the ETs at some point that came down and gave them the concepts, but later those concepts degenerated into that. There's no need to prepare the body for the afterlife. You get a new body there anyway, she says. And here also she's saying that she can see here also the connection to satisfy dark, regressive, egregor type entities. Because I was asking, I don't understand how hard it is to understand the concept given by the extraterrestrials. Okay, listen, there is afterlife, but you don't need to worry about your body. There is another type of a body. Later on, you don't need to worry about your former one. I mean, did you speak Chinese? Did you speak another language? Why did they misconstrue that? Why the misinterpretation? How hard is it to understand that? And she says, I thought of that. Why so many misinterpretations? And she says, makes me wonder and think something else is missing, and that's why I still adhere to the sacrifice for feeding the regressive entities. So that element could have been added there. And here I'm consulting with her what I read in one of the Ashayana Dean's books that I used to read before I had this experience with Taygetans. And in her book she says it's best to burn the body after death, because this way somehow you dissolve the links that the body has with this plane. And here with the mummies, the process is the reverse. It's maintaining it alive, so to speak. So maybe the reason is to keep the bodies, keep the soul's attachment to the 3D and to the matrix even more, not to let it free. And she says, she has a point there, because the dead person from the other side does feel attached to the dead body. So I'm saying, yeah, in a way, it could be their way to maintain souls close to the matrix, have them attached. But then she says here, but burning is also a form of sacrificial ritual. It could be that. Feeding a specific kind of entity. In the end, it is only ideas in the mind of the dead person. And yes, it still has a mind that thinks, not a brain. But in hard reality, it does not matter if you bury the body, burn it, or leave it to the vultures and the crows to poke its eyes out. The soul does not need that body any longer. And if you see somewhere out there someone is saying, and it's better to cremate, or better to bury, or better this and that, okay, but that's just still within the realms of ideas. That's the idea that it's better. So, for Yazhi, nothing really exists in that sense of things having objective validity and reality. They are, if they are real to you. So yeah, I will finish this point here before I digress into other contemplations. Okay, here we talked a little bit with Yazhi about the topic of channeling, and we see channeling as something that is happening to us as if we were allowing ourselves to be inspired by or contacted by something exterior to us that speaks through us. That's something that is not really part of us. And in a way, it could be viewed as true from one platform, just like I am me, and Basha, another person, is Basha. But as we know, on the higher levels, we are actually one being, and all of us are just one. We are all one mind. So, in a way, as she will explain here, channeling is, if it's authentic and genuine, it is a sort of assimilating something of what seems to be another person, entity, intelligence, creature, but it is assimilating that from the field and making it your own. And this is what happens all the time. It's actually not as of a strange phenomenon just reserved to psychics and mediums as we think. Actually, we are constantly channeling every day, all the time, all of us. Sometimes, we are perceiving thoughts of another person, and maybe we're assimilating that as ours, and we don't see that as channeling, but it becomes part of us. We somehow got that from somewhere, because on that etheric quantic field we are all connected. So she's explaining this is how things work for everyone all the time. We constantly channel. When you channel, it becomes your information, and you remember it and make it yours. I'm not talking here about those possessions where someone just takes over your body and then you don't remember anything after that. I am more related to that natural channeling. And she in a way, she's comparing it, she's using the word assimilation here, others, assimilating others all the time. And this is how everything in the universe works. This is how it is. We are all one, we are all connected. This is also how telepathy works. in 5D and above, and even here, when you telepathically connect with someone, you are assimilating that person into your field, and you can receive it and you can feel it as your own. You can read it. Everyone else channels everyone else all the time. It is a field where we are all connected, and the separation between us all is illusory. As I have said before, ideas are all what separates everything that exists. There are no souls, plural, only one super self. The rest are concepts, ideas, avatars. And she continues, see people or a person as a collector, where all consciousness, all what exists, converges into that person. Everything that exists out there, all the timelines, all the possibilities converge into you, into that singularity of you. And it was explained in one of the recent videos on timelines. And she continues, as I had explained before, each person is indeed a singularity and a timeline of its own. Definition of another parallel universe, singular, and that creates a collective one shared by so-called others. To collect, as in collector, also means assimilation. Assimilation. Knowing someone inside and out, so much you can connect to that level, that as well. People are not aware of this. It happens all the time. Few and I are. That is the only difference. And the more expanded you become, the easier it becomes to assimilate others. Make them your own, integrate them into your field, exponentially easier. So when you are on that higher expanded level, you become others, you become the collective. You are constantly more and more aware of that fact that you are them and you are living it, and you feel them as yourself because it is yourself. And here she's comparing it also to the languages. She says the same with languages. For an observer who ignores language structure, they are all very different. But from an educated point of view of someone that speaks and writes many languages, and the more the better, they will notice immediately that all the languages are basically the same, only variants, and they are all connected. That's why the more languages you learn, the easier it is to learn another. Exactly the same with people. I must also add here that this assimilation process, this you becoming larger and becoming more and more, it doesn't diminish your ego, your individuality. Actually, it just expands it. You don't lose the concept of you. Actually, you lose the concept of you as you had before, but you become larger. Your ego expands. And with that, the result is that you are less egocentric. So it seems a bit like a paradox that you are becoming more and bigger and larger, so you should be, more egocentric, but actually it's the opposite, because you are becoming the others. You are becoming less centralized and localized in how you were before. You are all of them. You are all of the creation at some point, the source itself. So that's how it is. Now, the next topic, a little bit related, but not really, spiritual topic, metaphysical topic, is the topic of wanting to transcend the physical. And it is something that many people experience, myself included. Sometimes I do feel happy in this world and I enjoy it very much, but also very often I feel like I'm just ready to unplug from interacting with the physical physical, what seems to be physical, hard stimuli. So I understand this desire and this nostalgia. I do have the sentiment for the energy places and energy fields and just existing as an energy being. But something to understand is that the physicality is not something to be rejected as an obstacle to receive the spiritual transcendence. For me and Yazhi, the way we understand it is the physicality is to be integrated. The physicality is something to be embraced as not something that works against you to achieve higher levels. For example, I feel the way I feel in this physical field is that I use it to my advantage. Of course, I am not at the level of Yazhi in any way, anytime soon. I cannot cross the walls and all that, but I do feel like it's some type of a playground that I am choosing to experience and interface with, and I try not to be used by it, but own it and own my decision of higher planes to have come here for a reason. So I don't believe that rejecting the 3D and rejecting the physicality in itself is necessary to transcend anything. You transcend things when you make something your own, when you are realizing that this is part of you and it becomes you, because it's inseparable. All of you that you are and that you experience is you. And when you realize this, that's when you start to govern this physical dimension and your own perception of it or a perception of other places. So Yazhi here is explaining people there, even more so in the spiritual community, want to transcend the physical as if it was bad to have a body. It is part of you, and it does not make you less and does not limit you either. All those are just ideas. Yeah, because many times we feel we want to achieve that higher energy status, and somehow the body, the physical, is limiting us. But what Yazhi here is saying, that's the idea. And as long as we are going to be adhering to that idea that something is limiting us, then we will not be free and we will not reach the state that we are craving to be. Because we will be perpetuating the limitation if that's what we believe it is doing to us. So all is just ideas, and the first step is to transcend that idea in order to transcend to the spiritual energy level where we are anyway all the time. And here it will be understood a bit more. Here I'm part of the conversation. Here I'm saying people are unhappy with the physicality sometimes, and they say they transcended it. I don't necessarily see that as transcending. This is me speaking in the conversation. I see that as probably lack of alignment. If you truly transcend, you make it yours without rejecting it. You use it to your convenience, but you are not of it. Neither being attached to it, neither rejecting it. You let it flow through you simply because it is you, part of you. If you reject it and want to escape it, you transcended nothing. You just cut off part of yourself. And here she's saying, it is only yet another case of grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. And then you suddenly notice that you always have a body, whatever density you are, always. Another type of a body, but you still do. And if that is a problem, it's only an idea. So even being pure energy is still a type of a body, because that's what you are now. And this is very important, listen to this, because that's what you are now, pure energy. It is your mind and ideas that form what you think is a body. But as seen and said in Matrix, the movie, there is no spoon. There is no body. All it is an idea you hold. And you can change your ideas and at will. and with them, your body. So right now, we are an energy being, pure energy state. And it's our mind there on that state that is forming what we think is a body. This is a reflection of our mind and our idea, and this forms what we think is a body. Right now we are interpreting something from within the field of our mind, and it presents itself as a body, but there is no body, there is nothing, there is just your mind. So when you realize that, you dissolve all these so-called limitations, and you can start to govern this physical reality at your convenience. And that's what Yazhi has achieved, and we talked about this many times. She can cross walls, she can do all these things, these psychic powers, because she has realized that there is no difference. Physicality, non-physicality is just... I'm having trouble finding words to describe this, but it's not here. It's here because my mind interprets this way because of some ideas that I have, and that forms this perception of this reality. But in itself, it doesn't exist outside of your idea. It's your idea that generates it. And I know it maybe sounds like intellectual divagation, like something, okay, that's nice, but how do I really apply this? But I really believe that realizing this within yourself, deep at your core, realizing this fact is the first step to the liberation, where you want to be, free, out of the 3D and physicality. I'm not even here talking about the 3D, I'm discussing the physicality in itself, because even in 5D is still physicality. So for me, no escaping, it's more about understanding that there is no physicality. There is nothing, don't reject it like it's something that is there, exterior to you and not attached to you, not something related to you, something you need to get out of. It is you, it is projection from within you. Once you realize that, you can change those projections and you can start to experience different types of things in this so-called physical reality. That's how I see this. So that's that. Thank you very much for staying until this point. Now let's continue to the next subject, which is winter in Erra, because it's snowy where I am. It's quite nice, and I love winter very much. I lived in tropical places for some time, and now I'm drawn to the northern areas and snowy areas. And in Erra, it's very snowy as well. There is winter there, not like in Temer. Temer is very tropical. And what's really interesting is that in Erra, when the winter comes, it comes very suddenly. There are no seasons, really. There is no warning, no fall telling you that the winter, the cold is coming. So here she is describing, it's in Spanish, but I'm going to translate this. In Erra, still with a little bit of sun, at the distance you can see a thick, like a white curtain coming down, like a very, very doughy fog among the hills, and it's coming very slowly. At the distance you can see it, and you still have time to, I don't know, to put your animals, if you have them somewhere, and close them in the house. But it comes very fast, and it invades everything, and it's so thick, this fog, this white fog, that you can't see anything more than 2 meters, and the temperature goes down from 21 degrees Celsius to minus 40 in only a few hours. From 21 degrees Celsius to minus 40 only in a few hours. And the next day everything is already frozen, white trees, everything detained in silence. And it will remain this way for the next 6 months. So she's saying that people that are from Temer are very comfortable. They don't know really the cold unless they go somewhere in the mountains there, because there are some mountains in Temer, but not as cold as in Erra. So the next day everything is just silence and white, frozen. Your boot trapped in the lake ice, and the lake's ice smooth as a mirror. And Robert here is asking about the wild animals. What happens to the wild animals? And she says, unfortunately, a lot of them die. You can walk through the forest, through the snow, that only in a couple hours it can reach 50 centimeters of snow, and you find birds and little animals just stuck in the ice. Fish in the lake, frozen in the transparent ice, immobile. So Robert is saying, oh, they're not adapted then. They live there, but they're not adapted. She says, yes, they are. They are animals of Erra. But still, a lot of them are taken by surprise, especially the young ones who have not experienced yet the winter. It's just that it's very, very sudden, the freezing temperatures. It's not like here that we have a warning, the fall season, warning us that the winter is coming. Here I'm asking about the type of heating that they have in the house. Now you'll be a little surprised here perhaps, because you know this civilization is 850,000 years advanced technologically, but as we also said many times, they do like to go back to the simple, artistic, holistic, manual. That's what they enjoy. That's the phase they are at right now, even though they still have their technology, of course. So I'm asking about the heating, and she says there are electric heaters among more common ones. Also the heaters of water heaters, and in the country they still use fireplace and firewood. She says there's not much that is better to warm you up and nicer than the fireplace and firewood. Also, you need heating for your drinking water, or you will not have warm water. She says the life is very simple in Erra, and here I'm asking, the water doesn't come out warm. You know, I'm imagining all these futuristic things, like the water will just come out warm. And she says, yes, it comes out warm, but where you store the water, especially if you're living somewhere in the countryside, far away, you need the heating. If you don't heat that water, it will be like a stone, frozen, and you will not be able to live. I said, stone inside the house? But inside it's not cold. And she says, yes, but you don't have your water tank inside of the house itself. It's on the side or somewhere on the hill. She says, in my house where I was, the tank was about 100 meters from the house on the hill for the water to go down, for the gravity, with the gravity. So here I'm saying, well, it's a bit old-fashioned life you have there. And she says, well, Taygeta is old-fashioned in many ways. It has super high technology, but we go back to the basics, to the old. So we have a mix. You burn fireplace, you burn firewood, and you sit there by the fireplace, and you have your water tank made of wood for the expansion of water with the cold, and at the same time, next to your house, there is your little personal ship parked somewhere there. So it's a mix of high technology and basic life. This is very, very, very interesting, and I think it's very nice and very cool. I think that's the way I would like to live as well. I wouldn't want to live in this super sterile and technological way and ambience where everything is just made for you and there is an AI operating everywhere. And no, that's not life. And here, continue with the subject. This is maybe related in the sense that here we are going back to the technological description of things. We have a conversation with Dor Kalel. Dale was also present in that conversation, and he was sharing with us different images of the interiors of the ship, of what they look like. Of course, these images are taken from the internet. Now, this is an important image, he says. And he describes, to the left, out of view, would be the bridge with an overlook to CIC deck. CIC is where all the action is, and they gather the intelligence and things like that. And in the center, there is a large hologram with a planet star system. Anything you need to navigate or to do whatever you want. And it's clear to be seen by all. You can see other ships' positions there or yours with the current orbit and holographic data next to it. So see, here we are back to the very, very futuristic stuff. It responds to mind, of course, or to normal interface. Here, that is holograms, you can move with your fingers. Around, you have the main bridge workstations and the big windows to the front of the large heavy cruiser. But this deck is approximately twice this size. You can park a medium-sized private jet inside. The bridge is one deck above. In the bridge, you have the now classic 2 seats in front of the helmsman and the main navigator, and to the center in the middle, the skipper or captain. This deck, you see, has a balcony to the rear of the image. This balcony holds the bridge. From the balcony, you can see the main navigation hologram from above, with complete and necessary detail to drive the ship. From CIC, you can see the same hologram, but like from below, with less accurate or complete overall perception of all that's in it. For example, the bridge balcony would be to the right here, above that gray wall, or to the left, above the same gray wall here. Navigation hologram example. A lot more details here, a lot. So, he's explaining that these are all, these images coming from the sci-fi projects or sci-fi websites or whatever, but it's all infiltrated and controlled because, as he explains, they are giving the people this little by little. And now he says here, how detailed the navigation hologram can be? It's like having the Earth as an 8 to 10 meter ball sitting inside the CIC deck, completely accurate to the smallest detail of weather movements, in real time, of course, for example, weather movements and other stuff, and the position of the ships in orbit around it. Or you can reduce and see the Earth as a basketball and the moon and the ships around it looking at the bigger picture. I'm just describing the bridge and CIC deck of a class heavy cruiser like the one I am in. And here he finishes saying, as you can see, our technology is way beyond Star Trek. We study and analyze Star Trek movies from here while surrounded by much better tech. Very, very, very cool. Also a cool detail is that, as you know, they don't have the night time really there. Well, because they are inside and also they are constantly on rotation and orbiting around. Sometimes their day is 1 hour. They can see the sunrise and sun go down within 1 hour, depending. And what do they do when they go to sleep? The fun fact that I just learned a few weeks ago is that when the nighttime comes, so to speak, or simulated nighttime, to help them, the rhythm of their biological, sleeping patterns, they actually sometimes play through the speakers all over the ship, the sounds of crickets and sounds of frogs and sometimes the wind to keep the ambience down. And they also keep the illumination down, the lights are darker and dimmer, and they play the sounds of frogs and crickets because it is nice. I do like to sleep to those sounds as well, and or the rain, things like that. So they do the things like this to help them wind down after a busy day. So it's like a signal to their body, okay, this is nighttime, I shut off. So this is very interesting. And now continuing with the subject, and this is related in the sense that it's going to be something about the ships as well. As you know, Yazhi Svaru, she is a fighter, a fighter plane pilot, Sandcloak pilot. And especially before, she used to go on different patrol, CAP, control air patrol missions with other pilots, with other fighter ship pilots. Yazhi doesn't do that really as much, but once she did, a few months ago I think it was, and she went on this CAP mission flying around, and she connected right after she came back. So we were discussing that mission and how it went, because they are doing so many things all the time. I keep telling you that they are busy, that they are all doing all kinds of operations and activities, and some of it we probably don't even know, and they even accept that. They do admit that not everything is shared with us. So here I'm asking her, how was it? How was your mission? And she says, well, always having to display air superiority. Yes, it was successful, but a 5-hour mission, ships are back in. What does it mean, display air superiority? Sometimes those fighter ships just go out there because they need to be seen. Not just by the humans, sometimes that's not relevant, but by the military. They are showing air superiority. They want to be picked up by their radars or seen or something, and that's part of their job. And I said, well, 5-hour mission, quite long. Did anything in particular happen? She says, no, not today. We keep our respectful distances, but always on the radar. I ask, were you seen by anyone? She says, yes, by all the radar stations in Anchorage, Alaska, and others. But you were seen as planes? I said, no, this time as starships. I do love flying. Here she's talking about how much she loves flying. She says, I do love flying, dodging clouds at night in moonlight. Our mission is to be seen, present. I ask, did they try to do anything about it? She says, no, but yesterday they did want to confront us. Today, the US fighters were only maintaining their perimeter and us ours. We did not go into their airspace as a sign of respect. We were not seen by people on the ground necessarily, but by all traffic control, especially military. I say, are you sure now this will be not reported all the way to the cabal? And she says, yeah, also that's the idea as well. They know where we are and who we are, and they know we will not let them pass. They know we are bad news, and not only Taygetans. And then here I'm asking, wow, that would be great to go on a ride with you one day. I would love to do that. Can I one day? I say, half joke. And then she says also, yes, just please don't puke in the cockpit. It can get rough. And I say, well, what if I do? She says, you clean it. We're just being silly here. And here I'm asking, you don't have any anti-motion pills? Car sickness? And she says, no. What I do have is inertia dampeners. Inertia dampeners, it's to slow down the effect of the acceleration, so you don't feel like you are going anywhere, really. But she says, so she said, what I have is inertia dampeners, but what's the fun in that? They are always active to a 98%. If I turn them off, we would turn into jello, mushed on to the inside of the cockpit windows. But that 2% is enough to give you the thrill and make you sick. It can't get too much. If the inertia dampeners are at 100%, then you can't even feel that you are flying. You can walk around, have your tea, and nothing. But she's saying no fun in that. So she's staying at 98%. And here she says, I've flown at 90%. But it's really demanding on your body. You start getting very heavy and you can barely hold your head up. You must contract your legs and buttocks and tighten your stomach muscles to try to press some blood up into your brain, or you will pass out. And that is with the G suit on. Without it, you will pass out. And here she's sharing the video of a fighter plane, and she wanted to share a little bit of her world, what she does and what she loves doing. She says, oh, this is my world, more or less. And here she says, notice the cloud cover above the hard deck ground. The noise is similar, only louder in a Taygeta fighter, bigger engines. They love the noise. Well, I'm asking here, what if there is some higher than normal mountain that suddenly pops up and you don't have enough time to react? And then she says, then you pull up your stick and make a 90 degrees upturn and climb above it. The ship's Betty, the computer, will indicate in audio, pull up, terrain, right before that. And then I say, you never have a temptation to land on some remote island or location, a particularly beautiful place? And she says, always, and we have, or I have. They do that, but very, very far remote locations. And she loves the sound of the noise. She says, I love it. I really do love that turbine sound behind you, the roar of power. I can never get over the acceleration and the power of light. Once you experience this, you never can leave it behind, and you will continue to fly for the rest of your life or die. That's Yazhi's love of flying, and not only, I know Khalil is also very passionate about that. It's their life. It's their life, like she said. So, well, guys, up there, if you're watching, go enjoy your flights, but also be super careful, because I know there are also dangerous stories. Maybe one day I'll tell you some other dangerous stories that they told us, and dangerous incidents that happened, and they do happen. I want to end this video with this short message from the Spanish follower Angel Andres Jimenez. He made a comment following the video about should we fight or should we let things be, because everything from the higher plane is planned anyway. So should we fight this war that's going on right now, or should we just let things be? And here he's saying, it's interesting thoughts he had. It's from Spanish, okay? Have you stopped to think that before coming to this world, our souls made a pact with the soul of Svaru, so she can travel light years from Taygeta to come to Earth to wake us up? If even the smallest detail of our lives was carefully planned, haven't you thought that maybe this Taygetan disclosure, this work, it was in our own plans even before we were born? Can you imagine the quantity, the number, enormous number of souls putting themselves in agreement to come here and to later experience this awakening? Sure, for sure that we have to resist and fight against the cabal and against all the evil force that tries to damage us and hurt us. We plan and we place these difficult circumstances for ourselves, not to be spectators, only letting things happen. We did this to submerge literally ourselves in the chain of events that would never produce themselves in our original planets. Do you know what probably was most important to us from the 5D and beyond when we planned all this? Our reactions. How we were going to react when we would be here seeing the evil, what we were going to think, what we were going to feel, how we were going to act, how we were going to solve the things with a little consciousness and memory that we would have. This was the learning that we wanted to experience here. So I think, yes, we need to act. That's why we got ourselves here. You think that in Taygeta we would have lived all these shitty things that we are living here in this world? Until last breath of life, we need to act in front of the circumstances according to our consciousness. Thank you very much, Angel Andres Jimenez. I really love to read comments like this sometimes because it makes me so satisfied inside what I see awakened people and people who are reaching within to discover all this wisdom that they have. That's when I feel really complete doing this work, that I contribute to that awakening and that freeing of minds. That's really amazing to me. So that's all I have for today. It's been quite long, but that's what it is. I hope you enjoyed it, and the next video I will have for you is actually a little bit older video, but very, very, very valid. It's from Aneka, and it's about quantum computers. Because here on Earth we are saying we have quantum technology in the computers, but it's nothing really comparing to real quantum technology that they have there. So she's going to explain that difference. It's going to be very, 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 very interesting video as well. Thank you very much for watching. I'm glad you are here. Thank you for your support. Hello to all the newcomers, and until the next time. Thank you. Bye bye.